Presley's going to kick us off. A little bit of information about Presley. He's my business partner from like basically the beginning. We started our agency two and a half years ago, and we were in the trenches. I think he's going to share some of the behind the scenes of the trenches and what that looked like for us. We basically started at zero. We met at a mastermind, kind of similar to this one, which is kind of cool. And that's where we decided to partner up and started at zero, scaled our way all the way up to about 105K a month. We've been running right around there with our agency for the past, since like March, yeah.
Like around, yeah.
Yeah. So that's been like a really fun time. And some of you might know me from like my YouTube series, and we decided to throw an event last week. This is our turnout so far, so I appreciate all of you coming. Presley's going to kick us off. A little bit of the flow of the day so you guys have an understanding. Presley's going to kick off. Presley's like the operator, so I kind of like bounce around. I don't know if any of you are like ADHD. That's me. I can't like do anything as far as Slack, responding to people. Like, I'm just not good at that at all. But Presley, on the other hand, I don't know how he does it. He just sits in his room and just like knocks it out. It's crazy. I couldn't do what he does, but we're like the perfect. I'm the positive. He's the positive. I'm the negative. I don't know. However you want to put it.
Probably opposite, but yeah.
Opposites, right? So everything that he's good at, I'm not good at, and vice versa. So it works out really well. But he's going to be going through hiring systems, operations. Hiring systems and operations, which is all stuff that I don't really love and I'm not really good at, but Presley's fantastic at. And honestly, the agency wouldn't work without him and without him implementing these things. So we built our way up to 70K a month without systems. We were up till 4 a.m. every single night. He's probably going to talk about this. Yep. Up at 9 a.m. So we were just like for 2 months straight, basically not sleeping. We had no life outside of our agency. We're like, this isn't going to work. So we scaled back down to like 20K a month. Built systems out. Well, Presley built systems out, and we implemented those systems, and now we're higher, obviously, than 70K a month, and we're able to not be locked into like running an agency all the time because we have systems working for us. So Presley's going to run that, and I'm going to hand it over to him. So have at it, sir.
Thank you, MC. Appreciate it. Welcome, guys. Glad you're here. I'm really excited to talk about this. I literally foam at the mouth talking about systems, so glad to be giving you guys this presentation today. Now, who here is at the point where the work is starting to become overwhelming in their agency? Like, you literally can't go get clients because you have too much stuff on your plate. Decent amount of people. Good show of hands. If that's not you right now, you're probably 1 to 2 clients away from reaching that point. A lot of people underestimate what it actually takes to get to that point. Trust me, it sneaks up on you. So you're going to want to take some notes here. I'm excited for you guys to listen in, but let's get into it. Now, first, let me preface, this is from 2.5 years ago. It's all going to make sense. This picture from high school, because this is actually where I got started with it all. Thank you, Cam, for the intro. As you know, Cam's business partner. I run the back-end operations of both our coaching program and our agency. And I actually started in finance. I thought I was going to go to school to study investment banking. I was enrolled at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in investment banking, finance. That's what I thought I wanted to do. Until I accidentally stumbled across this, which was helping brands create content, social media, everything like that. And I'm going to explain this transition, how I got into it, in this next slide right here. Now, in high school, my first experience with content was a pretty lackluster trading podcast. About 6 months into watching some YouTube videos, I thought I was an expert, so I started creating content around investing and trading. I also thought I probably couldn't hurt my shots at getting into a good business school. So I literally just started making content around trading, investing, what I was looking at in the market, got a lot of inspiration from guys I looked up to on YouTube. And at its peak, I ran it up to around 1,000 followers, lost some followers over time. I had no idea what it was doing, but that was my first touch of making content online, exploring, making connections. So I knew the opportunity. And so around my junior year, I was looking for internships, right? I wanted some marketing experience. I wanted something. I just wanted something under my belt. I was hungry for more. I wanted to get a taste of what this was all like and what I wanted to do with a career. So there was a hedge fund manager in my town who I reached out to, sent the worst cold email ever. You're going to see it in a couple slides. And somehow he liked me. Somehow something clicked. We got coffee. We hit it off. And my best opportunity to work with him, he wasn't looking for somebody to shadow him. He didn't want an intern. But I saw that he did need help with YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I saw it as an opportunity to get in, to get some marketing experience, to make a connection that could potentially help me in the future get a job. So that's what it started as. And I wanted to make a little bit of money in high school. So I started helping him with his TikTok account. I started running his social media, grew him a ton. Actually helped him get some clients for his hedge fund, which was crazy because I didn't think TikTok was capable of that for somebody of his age. He's about 34 years old. And then I also started working in a trading startup where I was writing their blog posts, helping with their social media video editing. And so this was my introduction to it in high school. I already knew from the start, social media is extremely powerful. I can help these businesses do it, and it's something I'm good at. So before I even decided to start my agency, leave school, all of that, I already knew there was a path for me in this avenue. So this is the cold email I was talking about, and this is why I always encourage everyone to shoot their shot, even if you don't really know what you're doing. I don't know how well you guys can see this email, but it's not great. I'm talking about myself. I'm telling him how passionate I am about investing, how much I like his content. It's all about me. Not a good example of how you did outreach. But like I said, it struck a chord with him. We got coffee. We hit it off, and he let me try it out. He's like, "You want to work for free for me for 2 weeks, help him with my TikTok? Sure. Make some clips. Help me out." Sure enough, I did. Got some views. 2 weeks later, I got hired for about $1,000 a month to start. Wasn't much, but for high school, that was great. And not only that, but now I had a connection that I could go and leverage to get more clients. So this was a really cool start for me. And again, why I always say, shoot your shot, even if you don't really know what you're doing, because you never know what it could lead. And that was the gateway drug that actually got me into all of this, which I'll explain in a bit. And then this was the second outreach message I sent to the startup. The name of the company was Sang Lucci. Now, they had a trading education company, so I was working with companies in this trading investing niche because that's what I wanted experience in. I wanted to break into that after college, so it seemed like the best route. But I wasn't doing anything with finance. It was all on the marketing side, social media. So I was running this company's blog, and this was the outreach message I sent. It was literally just the fact that I had experienced in AP English. Right? There were people sending in full-on resumes with their marketing experience, the companies they worked at. I thought I was qualified because I took AP English and I could write a little bit. And I was actually one of the fourth, I think it was the fourth person that was actually considered. They went through 3 more people before me. That's the only reason they landed on me. We'll give this kid a chance. He's the last resort. Maybe he'll crush it. And I was the only one that was able to do what they were looking for. So interned for 9 months for free before they offered me a position for $2,000 a month. But that was my in. I worked for free for 9 months to get experience working at this company. And once I had that, I was working with this other hedge fund guy, I was working at this startup, and I was getting paid to do so, about $3,000, $4,000 a month in high school. I saw a real future here, and I was like, I know how to help these brands make content, get their voice out online. There's something here. Maybe I still send weird emails like this, and I look like an immature high schooler, but that'll get fixed over time. That was my intro, and that's what got the gears turning, that maybe I could actually turn this into a career, something I could do longer term, full time. Now, as you can see, this was a random screenshot I found in my camera roll, but really helped this hedge fund guy increase his engagement on social media. We were taking clips from his YouTube channel to grow his TikTok. He's on CNBC, Fox News, a bunch of other big media channels as well. So I was helping repurpose that content for TikTok. Again, got some great results, as I mentioned before. And like I said, this is when I started to realize that this was a big need for a lot of people. They had all the business knowledge. They were very good, credible people that knew what they were doing, but they had little to no information or help as far as actually getting that message out on social media. And I got to school around August, September 2022. As I said, I was enrolled at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. Thought I wanted to take the finance path. At this point, I was working with a few different clients, helping them with social media. And as soon as I got to Kelley, I just knew it wasn't a good fit for me. I didn't feel like what I wanted to do was aligned with the school and vice versa. I mean, especially after seeing this message on my smart board right here about basically, hey, don't be obsessed. Moderation is key. To me, that sounded like stay average. And after interning for a company for 9 months, busting my ass off on Sunday nights, and my parents were asking what I'm doing in my room for free, I just didn't believe in that because I knew what it took to at least get those first few clients and get people to believe in what I was doing. And so that message didn't align with me. So I was like, you know what? Let's see what else is out there. Let's give this a shot. And sure enough, about the next week after taking this picture, I happened to meet this guy, the guy that introed me, the MC over here, at a business mastermind event. Not too much different than this. I was going because I was a freelancer at the time. I was doing stuff on my own. I was on the verge of dropping out of school, but I wanted to get some other perspective. I wanted to see if I could actually do this, and met entrepreneurs doing way more than me, had full-blown teams, full-blown agencies, and I was blown away, and I saw real potential. And at the end of the night, at the cigar lounge, I was just walking around, meeting some people, and then Cam, who I had met earlier in the day, we reconnected, hit it off for like 2 hours. We actually went back to the hotel to grind out some work. I still had client work that I was finishing because I was doing all the work myself. He had to do the event recap because he wanted to beat the other videographer to getting it out. And 2 weeks later, he's like, you want to run this up together, move to Miami, start an agency? I'm like, let's do it. And that's where it all began. So about 2 months later, I moved to Miami. So this was around October, November. January 2023, went all in, signed a lease in Miami for about 9 months. And this is my apartment. This is me moving in. Didn't really know what to expect, but I saw a vision. I already had some clients under my belt. We were somewhere between 8 and 10K a month at the time, but basically starting from zero together. Those were just my clients that we were bringing in at the time. But I saw a vision. I saw Cam, I saw myself, and I knew we could do some damage. And then upon starting, in the first 4 or 5 months of starting our agency, we started meeting people like crazy in Miami. We were just all out, blitzkrieg. We wanted every single client. We wanted to take over the city, and things started to work out. First 4 or 5 months, this was April to May, as you can see in the screenshot. From April to May, we did $60,000 in a month with our agency in revenue, and this was starting from 8 to 10K a month. We were just so relentless with outreach, reaching out to people, leveraging free work, making connections in our area. We even got a few referrals under our belt. Things were going great. We were meeting these awesome people, working with these big time entrepreneurs that we didn't even know upon moving. Cam and I didn't have a ton of connections when we first got there, but we made it happen. Things were going great until we started hating our lives. These are real pictures I dug up from my camera roll. The last picture was around May when we got invited by a friend of ours that we met in Miami to LA to go to this party. There were a bunch of influencers there. It was a really cool experience. This big mansion, black SUVs parked out in front. And Cam was posting client videos at this event that was supposed to be a vacation, was supposed to be fun. He's posting client videos at 1 in the morning at this event. And that was seriously wrong to us because I had started this business for freedom, and I know he did as well. We wanted something where we could make our own schedules, we could dictate the way we wanted to run our lives. That was not panning out to be the case. And we knew something needed to change when we were up every single night. I have countless pictures in my memories of this. 1:43, 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning, busting out edits every single night just to wake up and do it all over again. It felt like I was trapped in exactly what I was trying to avoid, and it was miserable. We were making money. It was great. We were keeping a lot because we didn't have any employees at the time. But that's exactly why we were on the verge of burnout. We were probably 1 or 2 months away from ending up in the hospital or one of us just saying, you know what, this is too much for me. So after this moment, we needed to change. Now, who right here in this room right here is in that stage right now where you feel burned out, either from too much work or you're just considering, hey, I'm actually doing more work than a 9 to 5 right now. This feels more like a 9 to 9.
Raise your hands high.
We're getting some shy show of hands. Guys, nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of. Cool. Okay, so about half the room, give or take. Now, this is exactly where we're going to transition to how to get yourself out of that, because it's not a fun place to be. It's where a lot of people, a lot of videographers give up right before they're on the verge of that big breakthrough. And it's really important to know that it's not a problem with your business. Well, it kind of is, but it's not a problem with you. It's a problem the way you set up your business, the way you're running things, the way you're choosing to do your work. It's a choice. Something had to change, and that's exactly what I'm going to cover in these next slides right here. There were 3 massive adjustments after this point that we made that changed the future of our agency forever. So we were no longer hustlers, we were no longer freelancers. That was the identity we had chose, but it was time to choose a different identity because we didn't have to be stuck on that. We thought we did until we made these 3 changes. So pay close attention. These are going to blow your mind a little bit. Also gave us our time back so we could go sign deals like this. Previously, we had been stuck at $2,000 to $5,000 a month as far as retainer goes for clients, and we never thought we would ever cross the 5-figure mark for a single invoice for a single client. And pretty soon after, started receiving invoices for 5 figures plus from clients, which was unheard of to us. We didn't even think we could find people that would pay us this. And because we were able to implement these changes, which I'm about to share, this is what allowed myself and Cam to actually go out and find these super high ticket clients. So not only did it give us our time back, but we were able to 2 and 3x our prices because now we were in control of our business again, and we weren't just focused on editing, designing, doing all the grunt work ourselves. We were actually able to sell these bigger deals. Number one, outsourcing, editing, designing, and client shoots. Now, the handsome young man featured on this slide right here is Danny. He's actually part of our coaching program. He's based in Florida. Wish he could be here today. But Danny is one of our videographers. He helps us with client shoots. In fact, we actually had a client shoot Monday that we weren't even involved with because Danny's based in South Florida. This client was in Naples. He has been completely able to take over the shoots for this client because we've integrated him in our agency. Now he's an essential part of the team. He's able to route back that footage to us. He has a script that he can deliver to the client, and it's an entire working system, which I'll get into later about how that workflow actually works. But Danny is the reason that Cam and I are able to throw this event this week. Danny is the reason that I'm able to make content, bringing new clients into our agency. If it weren't for Danny, probably wouldn't be here today. Cam would probably be on the road somewhere, traveling, doing client shoots, and it would be a nightmare. Same thing goes for the editing, which we'll get into in a second as well. Cam and I don't edit client videos anymore. We have an entire department dedicated to client editing, so as soon as the videographer sends footage back, we're able to route it back to the editors, and we know it's going to get done well, and even better than Cam and I could ever do it because we found really talented people to manage that department. Same exact thing goes with thumbnail designs. Because we have a YouTube agency, we're not doing thumbnail designs ourselves. We're taking the pictures, but we're not responsible for actually putting the text on the pictures or anything like that. And shout out Lane. Lane is actually an editor for our agency as well. He's been a really big part of helping out with the efforts over there. We have people like Lane, Will, who I'm going to talk about here in a second, who's our head of content, that are able to crush fulfillment. So Cam can focus on marketing and sales. I can focus on making content, getting clients for our agency, and also focus on scripting, strategy, and ideation for our clients, which in my opinion is what I'm best at. And so in putting other people in a position to succeed and doing the things that I don't want to do, I can focus on the stuff I'm best at. And that ultimately is what makes an agency go round, is not trying to be every hat in the business, not trying to wear every hat in the business, and focusing specifically on the one or two things that you're really good at and outsourcing the rest. One of the big limiting beliefs that I had when we were sitting editing at 2 in the morning was that no one else can do it like us. No one else is going to be able to maintain the quality of work that we are putting out. So let's just do it ourselves because I'm just going to get frustrated with people anyway. Who here has ever thought that before? Big show of hands. A lot of that has to do with the ego of being a creative as well. A lot of people, there's stubbornness. I have a certain pride in my work. I really like the way I do things, and no one else can do it like me, which in some cases is justified. But that exact belief is what's preventing you from scaling. It's what's keeping you in your prison right now. You might be comfortable because you don't have to trust other people. You're like, I'm self-reliant. I can do this myself. I don't need anyone else. But the reality is that's the exact thing that's making you miserable right now. But it's a painful belief that a lot of people are afraid to let go of. That's what stopped me. I thought no one else was capable of doing the edits like this. No one was capable of making sure the client's work is good. Another limiting belief that people have is that if I outsource the work, if I hand this off to someone else, the client is no longer going to want to work with me because it's no longer my work. Who's dealt with that before or had that thought in their head? We're about to break this. I'm really excited to get into this because this was the big thing. Part of it was a knowledge gap of not knowing how to hire, how to run my agency, how to build systems, but a lot of that was mental as well, and actually thinking that I can't. And when you think you can't, you're not even going to make a reasonable effort because you don't even think it's a possibility that you could ever outsource or delegate work in your agency. You're probably dealing with one of these three things right now. A, you aren't going through enough applications, or if maybe it's 0 right now, which is probably a decent amount of you aren't trying enough. A lot of people will go with the first person they find. They'll say, I need an editor on my Instagram story. Boom, hire the first person that applies. Reality is, if that's the case, you're probably going to be sorely disappointed because it's taken us a lot of bad hires to actually find good people and weed out the bad applicants. So if that's you, went through one application, you've been on one hiring call, you're not doing enough. B, you don't have a good system that makes it easy for your team to do their job. A lot of people think, I'm going to hire someone and I can throw them the wolves, they're going to do all the work. The reality is, you're not going to be able to do that unless you give them structure to work with. If you don't have an organized system, if you don't have an easy to manage, accessible file system where you can go in and find raw footage, where they can go and upload the footage that they've completed, and it's messy, it's disorganized, you're communicating through WhatsApp, Snapchat, Instagram over here, and everything's a mess, and you have random Dropbox folders flying around, it's not going to cut it. No one's going to want to work for you, and if they do, everything's going to be late because you don't have a streamlined process for getting work done on time. Lane, how easy is it to find raw footage when something gets uploaded?
Oh, it's so easy.
How many clicks? Like 3 clicks?
Yeah, like, not even that. Sometimes it's just like 1 or 2.
Lane wouldn't probably be working for us if I was sending random Drive folders and Dropbox folder over text. That would probably suck, right? Cam is guilty of it sometimes. I'll give him some flack for that.
Oh, yeah,
But that's a lot of people's issue. It's not the talent they're hiring. It's not the editors they're bringing on. They don't have anything. They don't have the infrastructure. You know, it's like asking somebody to get across the road, make a trip, be there in 30 minutes, but there's literally construction work and obstacles and fires on bridges, and then they get mad at the driver for not getting there in 30 minutes. Well, your roads are falling apart, your bridges are breaking down. Of course the driver's not going to be there on time. You can't expect a pizza on time because you didn't provide the infrastructure. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're deflecting the accountability of not having a good system onto the people they're hiring, which is a big no-no. As a business owner, accountability first, bad principle. Or C, this you could maybe fall into all these categories, but C is that you aren't providing team members with crystal clear instructions. Now this is a big one because a lot of people, they're just like, you know what, go figure it out. Go take this project, make something cool. You will get to a point where you have people in your organization, really talented people, that can do that. 98% of people don't operate like that. And a lot of people, they hire someone, they expect them to just understand the vision, to completely get it crystal clear without giving any context, any reference to what they're looking for. The editor goes and makes something that they think is good, but then there's a misalignment from the person who assigned it, and they're like, you know what, you suck at editing. Reality is, you didn't give good instructions. You didn't even give them a chance to succeed. And a lot of people, this is what they're doing. They're completely delegating and they're completely outsourcing responsibility instead of easing somebody in or giving them context. They just expect the other person to figure it out. And again, as a business owner, you are accountable for the performance of your team. A lot of people look at, you know, you and the editor or you and the videographer as a separate entity. You did this, I did that. No. It's we. It's we. That's how a team works. If I make a mistake and an editor makes a mistake, I'm responsible for taking the heat from a client. That's how it works. You operate as a team, but a lot of people are looking at these hires as these separate people, separate entities. You're all working at one. I hate to break it to you. That's how it works. Everyone's one. And like I said, if you go with the first person that applies, there's a 99% chance you're going to be sorely disappointed. When we started our agency, we try to bring on people to post content. We try to bring on editors. And a lot of people were not hitting KPIs. They were missing edits, not revising things quick enough. That sucked. But in finding these bad people, we realized what qualities we wanted in people and what qualities we didn't want. And if we had gone with the first people we hired in our entire agency, if we had stuck with those people today, we would not be where we're at. We would not have the same client results. We would not have our current amount of clients because they probably would have all left because our first people we hired sucked, frankly. And we wouldn't have the systems we have because the people that we initially brought on, we didn't even have a system for them, right? So it was a combination of people that really weren't good at their job, weren't taking it seriously, and we had poor infrastructure. If we had kept that exact same system, we would not be in this room speaking to you, giving you advice right now. We would probably be putting the fries in the bag or something. It would not be a good situation. So my point in that case right there is that if you've hired or attempted to hire one editor and it hasn't gone according to plan, that is normal, that is expected. If you find the person right away off the first message you get in your Instagram or the first applicant you get on your Google form, it's probably more of a problem. You probably don't have good judgment because it's very unlikely that the first person that applies is going to be a good fit for your company, for your agency. It is a tedious process of finding people. You have to be ruthless with your criteria for who you bring on and hold people to a very high standard. Now, something that you can do to make sure that doesn't happen, that you don't let bad people that don't align with your company's values get through the cracks to slip into your company and ruin everything you built, is by testing out editors or videographers, whatever the case might be. And a lot of people, what they'll do is when they bring on a hire, they use their clients as guinea pigs. They'll bring on an editor and immediately assign that editor to a client. And they'll be like, go figure it out. What this does, we're leaving questions for the end. Yeah, no, all good. a lot of people will throw their editors to the wolves, and the client will become a guinea pig, meaning the client is now feeling the heat because you haven't tested your editor, you don't know if you're good. The editor will mess up out on the client's project. That'll negatively impact the client, and then you get in a fight with the editor because they didn't have clear instructions, you tried to test something too early, and now it's a disaster. Maybe that person could have thrived, but because you put them in this high-pressure situation right away with zero context, zero understanding of how you work, now you're probably going to fire the editor, and you might lose the client. That didn't have to happen. What you can do is simply give editors test projects. Have them work on your stuff. For example, if I'm bringing on an editor, I'll have them work on something I don't really care about. That's not due for like another 3 months. That's on me. So if the editor messes up, it doesn't impact any of our clients. It maybe just affects my ability to get a video out on time. And that's really what you want to do, is you want to give them these trial runs, whether paid or free or whatever you guys agree upon, to actually make sure they understand you have a good workflow, good chemistry, good working relationship before you throw them into the crucible. And a lot of people are just throwing them straight into the crucible. That is a recipe for disaster. No one's going to want to work for your company, and people are going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. You need to ease people in. When you're first starting to hire, it may feel like you're doing more work at the start because you're providing them with so much clarity and instruction. When we brought on our head of content, we had him shadow us for about 4 weeks, and he was working closely with me. We were paying him, but he was really just shadowing me at the time because he needed to understand how everything worked. If I had just thrown him to the wolves with no instruction, would have been constant back and forth, a lot of arguing, I would have been frustrating, but because I went in with the expectation that it would take time, there was no issue. And after the 4 weeks, he's my golden child now. But you have to be okay with that testing phase or that trial phase. Otherwise, you're going to get frustrated with every single person you work with, and that's just not fair to yourself or the other person you're bringing on. Another big thing that's allowed us to foolproof our team, make sure that everyone's clear on exactly what they need to do with videos, is these two softwares right here. And I'm pretty sure Loom is free. I know Google Docs is free. Two, what I think are free softwares, Loom might be a $9 a month subscription, is Loom and Google Docs. Those two softwares will make it really hard to make mistakes with your agency and get out client videos that aren't up to your standard. And what a lot of people do is they're in this constant reactive state with their team. They'll assign a video to a team member with little explanation, and then they'll do 20 revisions after the fact. The hours of revisions most likely could have been prevented with about 2 to 3 minutes of upfront communication. A 2 to 5 minute Loom could have saved you hours, if not days, in revisions because you were actually clear on what you needed to get done in the first place with the style, the reference, everything like that. So proactive communication, communicating in advance what you're looking for, is way better than waiting and being reactive and spending days on revisions that could have been avoided if you had just clearly over-communicated to begin with. Now Loom, if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a screen recording software where you can have your face in that corner right there, and then you have a Google Doc where you're reviewing like a script or something like that, or going over footage, and you're able to voice over your screen and explain, hey, here's what I'm looking for, and you can drop it in a nice, cute link that is easy to access. And then Google Docs, I'm going to explain how that ties in as well, but either you provide instructions on the Google Docs, you leave comments on the script, you leave a shot list or a script for your videographer. The more over communication, the more you can explain things in advance, the less time you're going to spend on revisions, the less time you're going to spend chewing out people, ripping them a new one over the phone. Get it right in advance. And I'm going to give you some concrete examples from our agency right here. Now, this is a real Loom I sent to one of my team members over 6 days ago, and I was explaining a client video for him and what I was looking for as far as the reference. Now, I just went in 2 minutes. The video is 1 minute and 20 seconds. It gets down to 32 seconds if they want to speed it up. Again, literally less than a minute of watching the video on their end. Basically explaining, hey, I want a client video. I really like this video as a reference. If we can try to replicate the style while not copying it exactly, this is the vibe or the theme I'm going for, right? And that gives them somewhat of an idea of what I'm looking for. And then if they have additional follow-up questions on that, they can ask it. But simply giving them something, a reference, a base point to work off of, gives them somewhat of an idea. And then that fills in 80%. Their creativity fills in either 20 to 30%. And then they're good. Maybe they have follow-up questions. Maybe they have one additional clarifying question on like a font to use or something like that. But that will solve most of the issues right there. You want to be dealing with micro revisions, like a spelling mistake or maybe some render bug, not macro mistakes of, wow, this editor got the entire style wrong and now I have to give it to someone else or completely redo the project myself because they didn't know what I was looking for. So aim for the micro mistakes in revisions. like the small errors and all those little things, rather than the macro mistakes, which are in a lot of cases unfixable, are going to force you to have to redo the project entirely. Same exact idea here, guys. Literally just showing him how the footages are organized, because this client chose to do it in a bunch of different segments or clips of splitting up the YouTube video. So what I did is I just explained the order of the clips of this is first, this is the intro, this is the body, this is the hook, this is the CTA at the end, this is an intermission. Maybe it was unnecessary, but I'd rather over-explain and over-communicate in a 1-minute Loom video and explain the order of clips than going back in and seeing that the clips are completely out of order and the video was done incorrectly. And I also sent him the script for reference so he can cross-reference and know exactly where the videos are supposed to be and the arrangement of all the clips in frame. Again, takes 2 minutes out of my day, but probably saves me hours, if not days, on the back end that I would have to be revising or leaving comments otherwise. Real shot list I gave to Danny on Monday for a client shoot. We have a YouTube client. We're doing 4 videos a month. We knocked out 4 videos. We need thumbnail pictures. Why would I leave that up to chance about the thumbnail pictures I want to grab? When I know exactly what I want, why would I leave that up to chance? Why would I put that in Danny's hands when we're having him come out to shoot with a client? Why would I burden him with that extra thought process? Just give him a shot list. This isn't even the entire list. I think I had 12, 20 more. I gave him the entire shot list of thumbnail pictures I was looking with specific poses. I even gave him references. Why would I not do that? If I want to get the thumbnail pictures and I'm looking for specific poses, why leave that up to chance? Makes it way easier, and then the client can also see this, and they know exactly what they're doing. This makes the shoot more efficient because there's no audibles or last-second decision-making. If I have a studio for 5 hours, I need to maximize that time. So I want to make sure that everything is getting done in that 5 hours, because otherwise we're going to have to rent another day, which is unnecessary and wasteful. So why not make it crystal clear exactly what we need to get done before the shoot, so that there's no last-second critical thinking or decision-making at the shoot itself. It's finding these little edges and streamlining your process. You think it's not that big a deal, but this adds up massively over the course of a week, over the course of a month, and this is what separates the agency that's stuck at $8K a month from the agency that is able to scale past $50,000 a month and beyond. It's streamlining your process because, trust me, it does add up. And the number 2 was bringing on a head of content. Now, Will, he is the guy that manages all our editors. He is responsible for the quality checking, overseeing the editors, and making sure things get done on time. He is the golden child. I wish he could be here today. He's in Maine currently, but he is amazing. And this was my role previously. I was doing the quality checking. I was overseeing the editors, and he has basically replaced my role in that sense and does it way better than me, so I can focus on strategy, ideation, scripting for clients. He has daily check-in calls with my team. So even if it's 15 minutes out of a day, we'll have everyone hop on at the same exact time, Monday through Friday. And it'll just be a quick check-in, boom, 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 lightning round. What are you working on today? What are you working on today? Do you need help with anything? Do you need assets? Do you need B-roll? This pretty much eliminates any surprises, because if a video is going to be behind, then I get that immediately. Will send a report back to me over Slack. He'll be like, hey, this editor is running behind on this. You're going to need to communicate to the client that this video is going to be pushed back a day. So if there are any late videos or things that need to get adjusted, I know immediately. It's not a last-second communication. Hey, this video is going to be late. I'm not telling the client an hour in advance. I'm telling them 2 or 3 days in advance, because there's such tight feedback loops where if something's wrong, if they're having a problem rendering a video, I know immediately, and I can pass that information along to the client. Again, streamlined communication. I'm not finding it about stuff days later. I'm finding it about it minutes later, because after these calls, Will is literally sending me a DM on Slack recapping exactly what went down on that call, the highs of the call, the lows on the call, and any potential threats we have to look out for in the coming week. Pretty much makes it impossible for client deliverables or client videos to fall through the cracks. Now, this is the holy grail. Number 3, building a content management system. Now, I did not build this myself, as I'll get into in a bit, but this system right here is the most responsible part of the success of the operations of our agency. Because, I talked about building roads, building infrastructure. Well, this is the town hall, the infrastructure for our entire agency. This is what every single one of our team members works out of. Everyone's routing through this. And I make the joke that you have to be a bit of a dictator with your agency. You have to force them to use one system, one set of softwares, and one way of doing things. Otherwise, it all turns into a mess. You can't have people texting WhatsApp. You can't have people giving links over here. It has to be done in one universal system, and Airtable is that common denominator. It's that common currency, it's that common language that binds our agency together and is the glue between everything that happens on a day-to-day basis. And I'm going to show you guys live exactly how the system works from start to end when a video gets uploaded to Frame, whether that be a videographer, whether that be Cam, to that video getting assigned to the editor, to revisions being made. I'm going to show it to you live right here so you can understand just how streamlined our process is, so you guys can take inspiration for whatever system you decide to build. So I'm going to pull up Airtable on my computer over here. Now, if I didn't make this clear already, the three softwares that work together, and you'll see very quickly, is it's going to be Slack, which is where we handle internal team communication. You can also use it for client communication. We just choose to use iMessage. Frame.io, which is a better version of Dropbox and Google Drive. If you guys aren't already in Frame.io, get on that ASAP. Create a subscription as soon as you're done with this presentation or the day, whenever you're back at your computer. And the last would be Airtable. Airtable. This is exactly the software you're seeing right now. So I'm going to show you live. This is going to be the process of me assigning a video to my team in that entire walkthrough. So right here is a new content form. So anytime I have a project for a client or a video that needs to get assigned, we just finished filming, I fill out this form and magic happens. I'm going to show you exactly how this goes down. So I'm going to name a video right here. I'm sorry. So I start with the test project, mastermind. Go to long form. This is a long form video. It asks you to specify whether it's a long form video or a short form video. And I'm going to say this is for Presley. I'm just going to do myself here so it doesn't tag in any of the client channels. I actually got to open the form first. I'm doing it on here. I'm in a separate tab. Zoom in so you guys can see the fields. This is a long form video, so I specify this. I'm just going to say it's from me. Thumbnail designer, I'm also going to put this to me so you guys can see all the functions. Editor, it's going to have the entire list of editors here on my team. So all these fields will auto-populate. And then assign to editor, because this is ready, the filming has been completed. Team leader, I'm going to set myself. Normally I would put Will there because he's the one that everyone routes back to and reports to, but I'm going to put myself for this example here. I'm going to say the due date is a week from today. Next Saturday I'd like this to be uploaded, and I'd like to get this live on the client's channel next Sunday the 1st. So I'm going to put that. 11:21 a.m. Hey Presley, Presley's footage is ready to be assigned. So normally this would go to Will because he's the one leading these projects, he's the team lead, but I just set it to myself so you can see what the notification or the message looks like on his end. So Will would get a message right here, and it would say, hey, this footage is ready to be assigned, and all they have to do is click this green button right here, assign to editor, and then watch what happens in the Slack channel. So I'm pretending I'm Will here, I just assigned the footage. Now, see these two names that got tagged? I set myself for the sake of the example. But if I had assigned an editor, this name right here would be the editor. This name right here would be the thumbnail designer. And right here, hyperlinked conveniently, is the frame folder where they will be finally navigating the raw footage. So they simply go right here. I'm just going to copy that so somebody can click the hyperlinks on the computer. But anyone else with a normally functioning computer can click this link right here, and it'll bring them straight to the frame folder. So I just copy and pasted that hyperlink right here. And what do you know? It is the raw footage for Presley, who is the client here. If this was another client, it would be that client's raw footage folder. But this is all the raw footage. So if I have the project named over there, everything, all the newest stuff is going to automatically populate and go to the top left. So if it's named appropriately, and I'm not set up the name of the folder, they know the most recent thing right here is what I'm referring to, and it's also named appropriately to clear up any confusion. So now they have the raw footage folder. It's literally hyperlinked there. They don't have to go manually dig through folders. It is quite literally linked in the message they get from the bot on Slack, which is really cool. So the thumbnail designers, they can access thumbnail pictures. If there's thumbnail pictures here, they can find that. I'll put that in the raw footage folder. And the editors can get the footage they need to download. Just like that. There's no back and forth. Hey, drive link, Dropbox, whatever. Nope. Everything goes in there. That's standard issue for our entire team. And now, what it's going to look like is if I'm the editor, I have an option to confirm that it's editing in progress. So now this will go to a field under clients. So I'm going to go to myself on here, content management, and now I go to myself on here and mastermind test. So you see how it's under ready for editing. Now as the editor, I'm going to confirm that yes, I'm working on this, it's in progress, and that field in Airtable is going to update. I'm also going to get a message that, hey, this editor has begun working on this project, and that's how I know that the editor has received the assignment, that they're working on it, that they got the okay. And if there's any other issues after that, they can message me about this in this client channel. And you notice also how everything is structured by client channel, right? So there's no confusion about one channel or whose work you're working on. There's separate client channels both in Frame, Slack, and Airtable. So the only people that are in those specific client channels are people that are working on that client's project. So there's not editors and designers being looped in the conversations that aren't involved. It is streamlined so that it's like, hey, you're assigned to this client and this client, so you're only going to be in these channels. Because why would you get notifications about stuff you're not working on? That doesn't make sense. A lot of people run it through one group chat, one channel. That's a recipe for disaster. And now I would get a notification in here in Presley that, hey, so-and-so has begun working on Presley's videos. So this would be a notification to Will, and this would be the confirmation that the editor has, in fact, started working on the videos. Now, you'll see in Airtable, it went from editing in progress, or ready for editing, to editing in progress. So now if I want to check up on the status of that project, I can now see that the editor is in fact working on it and that everything is going smooth according to plan. Now there's a few more automations that take place after this as well. Go back to Slack, where there's a time delay on this between a few hours where the editor will get another message from this Airtable bot and they'll say, hey, are you still working on this? Is this still in progress or is it ready to go? And the editor will have another option to click a green button that says uploaded to channel or uploaded to frame. And then from there, that'll send a notification to Will, my head of content, who's responsible for reviewing. I'll give you an example over here. It's one of our clients right here. I'll show you an example from yesterday. Hey, the editor has uploaded version 1 of the videos, and conveniently, it's hyperlinked right here. So again, this is going to link back to the ready for review folder for that specific client. And then, what do you know? At the top left is going to be the new updated video, and my head of content can go in here. Great thing about Frame is you can leave comments at specific timestamps, and then mark this right here, ready for review, approved, needs review, whatever the case may be. And then once Will has reviewed that, he'll get another message from Airtable saying, hey, is this video approved? Is it ready to go up, ready to go live, or does it need revision? And then when he marks it as needs revision, that's going to send another message to the editor right here saying, hey, this needs revisions. And then when it's approved, right, it'll tag Will, say, hey, either it's approved or it needs revision, and then he'll leave comments on Frame. So when he hits another button in Airtable and the editor gets a notification that it needs a revision, they can simply refer to the project on Frame, and they'll see the comments down here and know exactly what to fix by the timestamp, by the second. And then from there, the editor will have another option to say, hey, this is ready to go, or like I've made the changes or I haven't. And then from there, that's where we'll be able to send a Frame link to a client over text or over Slack, however we're communicating, and go from there. And then from there, Will know whether the video is completed because he'll give it one final look, upload it to the client's channel, or send a review link for the client. And the great thing about Frame, by the way, even if your clients are not in your ecosystem, I can go and make a review link of this that clients can comment on with share, ready for review, and then I'll just hit settings right here or sharing, and then I can just copy this link. Anyone with this link can access and make comments. So if I want to send the final review link to a client before I publish, I can do it right here. That is our system. As you can see, there's very little room for error or confusion because everything is automated. It's all done, it's all system, it's one infrastructure, there's no confusion about where people are receiving videos, where they're uploading videos, and this saves hours of needless communication, missed assignments, missed deadlines, whatever the case may be, because it is one language, one currency, one system that everyone on my team adheres to. And you're probably wondering, what does this actually mean with the Airtable system? Like, what is the outcome of having this? Well, for starters, it's allowed Cam to make these trips to go work with potential clients, build relationships, and get deals across that otherwise we wouldn't have time to because we were stuck in the trenches of doing all this ourselves, of this constant back and forth, this constant needless communication. But now he can go out and build these relationships and sign deals and meet people he otherwise wouldn't have time to meet we can make that happen. And a lot of other agencies can't because their systems are out of whack and they're constantly putting out fires, fixing things. It's really never an issue for us. And Cam is able to go take advantage of that and go sign deals while this runs as a machine in the background. And while I'm still involved with scripting, strategy, and all that, all the grunt work, all the fulfillment, all the editing, designing, everything like that in the day-to-day, that is completely done by people that can do it way better than me. So I can go talk about results we've gotten for clients, how we get client results, our strategy to getting people results on YouTube, make content around that, which in turn generates more revenue for our agency, brings in new potential clients, and ultimately grows the business. And I know if I'm able to sign people from that content, I can feed them into our system, and we have a working machine that's able to fulfill them, and they're going to get a great service because we have the systems to back it up on the back end, and I'm never going to be scared when selling because we have a great system that makes sure their videos go on time. And as I was saying before, we didn't build this ourselves. This cost us over $12,000 to build. At the time, I think we were on installments of this, so we were paying over the course of a few months. It wasn't cheap. It was not cheap, but it's one of the most valuable assets, as you can see, we have in our agency, and it's what makes the world go round. Hiring isn't cheap either. Besides the limiting beliefs, the thing that prevents a lot of people from actually making that first hire, bringing on that first editor, bringing on that first thumbnail designer, is they don't want to spend money. They want to keep all the profit themselves. They're thinking about their personal take-home rather than the growth of the business. And what I'm going to show you here in a second is not hiring is actually costing you more money. So I'm going to give you an example of one of our students at the team. Wish he could be here today. He had an issue. He runs a short form agency. He scaled from 4K to 12K a month over the course of a few months. Didn't have a problem getting clients. Problem is, he had no life. He was doing all the stuff himself. He was filming with clients. He was editing for clients and posting for clients. And he said, Presley, I'm spending all this time posting for clients. I want to go spend more time signing deals because I'm good at sales, and that's what I want to focus on. And I was like, okay, team, why don't you just bring on a content manager? He was like, well, it's going to cost me money. It's going to be hard to find someone, just a bunch of excuses. And I was like, let me do some math for you, okay? You can get somebody for this role for $500 a month, realistically, marketing kid at school looking to get some experience under their belt, somebody to help with that, would be more than happy to do this for $500, $1,000 a month, right? You're spending, it's an hour a day, it's only 30 hours a month of work, but that 30 hours of work for you, you're not even taking into account the opportunity costs of what else you could be spending that time on, or even just the mental bandwidth it consumes to mindlessly post for clients every single day. So let's run the numbers. His hourly rate as a videographer is $200, right? Currently, if you can outsource that for $500 a month, spending an hour a day on that, 30 hours a month, he is currently spending his time on a $16 an hour activity, which is minimum wage in most states. And I was like, hey, team, is your hourly rate more than $60 an hour? He's like, yeah, actually I charge about $200 for my hourly rate. Let's run the math. How much money is Hatim missing out on by not hiring? Well, if you consider those 30 hours a month, instead of going to posting content for clients, he's taking one of those hours every single day and doing a client shoot, just hypothetically, $200 times 30. His opportunity cost of posting this content himself, in theory, is $6,000 a month, an extra $6,000 a month. So Hatim's at $12,000 right now, which means he could grow his business by 50% off this one hire. Even after you subtracting the cost of that hire, the extra $6,000 minus the $500 it costs to hire, comes out to $5,500 a month. So if we add $6,000 in monthly recurring revenue to his current revenue, take away that $500, that puts the team at $17,500 a month in revenue, $18,000 if you don't include the cost of that hire, which means a team has essentially jumped from $12,000 a month to $18,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue off one hire. Off one hire of somebody simply posting the content for his clients, Hatim's business grows by 50%, 45.8% if you include the fact that you got to subtract that cost. One hire, that's all it took. And I wish he was here today, but at last week's presentation, we had him come up and he gave a little testimonial. It was like, I literally signed 2 clients today because now I have the time to actually go and sign more deals. I don't have to worry about that. That was the only reason I was able to make this trip out to Phoenix, Arizona, which is really cool to see it actually happen in real time. And not only is it expensive to not hire, to keep doing the stuff yourself and miss out on this potential revenue, but it's also expensive to miss out on life. For the longest time, Cam and I were locked away, doing all the stuff ourselves, and we're still very busy. We're still working very hard on our agency, but now we have time back. Before, this wasn't even a possibility. The idea of going wake surfing in the morning was unreal to us. We didn't think that was a possibility. It was just work, 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 computer all the time. And in the last year, we started going wake surfing in the morning before work. 7 a.m., 10 a.m., little 3-hour, 4-hour session, and then work the rest of the day. That wasn't even a possibility for us before. But now, you don't even realize it when you're into it. There is so much out there for you to do other than editing videos, designing, all this stuff yourself. You can still work hard in your agency and have fun. I thought it was one or the other. I didn't think I could have my cake and eat it too. I was dead wrong. Still a lot of hard work, but there is time in the day to do this stuff if you create the right systems. A lot of you guys need to stop thinking like creatives, like freelancers, like hustlers, and start thinking like business owners. And when I implemented this was my first time seeing sun in about a year and a half. It was a great day. It was a great day out on the water. This wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have systems in place. Choice is yours. I'm giving you all this information here at this presentation. You can walk away, do absolutely nothing, keep being stubborn, go and do all the stuff yourself, and say, there's no one as good as me. I'm never going to be able to fix this. Right? I can't make you implement anything. I can just give you the information and my knowledge, my experience here today. You can go back and keep being stubborn. There's nothing forcing you guys to implement what you've learned today. Or you can finally make that hire. You can finally go start scouting for talent. You can go look for editors. You can go put somebody into your business that is able to do it better than you and actually give you time to go sign more deals, to live life, and experience what being a business owner should actually feel like. That's all I got. Q&A time. Question over here.
I was going to ask about the frame. Is it like a limited storage similar to like a lot of the other file systems?
Yeah, so you have to upgrade storage over time. You're capped out. You know, there's a certain amount of terabytes based on your plan, but it's similar to the others as far as that. Yeah, it is cloud-based storage.
How large do they offer?
You can go unlimited. You're going to have to upgrade gradually over time, but I have not. We're at 10, 11 terabytes right now, and we can still upgrade.
Why do you prefer it over another cloud storage?
Well, what I was just mentioning with the commenting, I think the interface is much better as far as leaving comments. I mean, you can even draw on the actual screen with a marker if you wanted to like mark a specific asset or something in the video that you wanted to change. You can literally circle it with a marker on frame. And when you leave comments, when you're scrubbing through the video, if you leave a comment on something like a part you're stopped on, it will mark on the far right side. It'll say like 320. Change this or change this spelling, which is insane. I think Dropbox might have a feature that they added that's similar to that, but Frame.io is the cleanest interface out of everything I've seen, and it's very easy. And the fact that you can send these easy review links for clients where they can play it in app and in stream and it loads very quickly is phenomenal to me. And so far, it's worked the best out of everything. Drive compresses quality, kind of sucks, feels old school, no real room to leave comments. Haven't touched Dropbox a lot, but this has worked best for us, and I've stuck with it since. Yeah.
So for hiring editors, is it best to, I don't know many, and I'm glad I'm here because I don't know many Phoenix videographers, so I don't know many, filmmakers that know how to edit. So is it, like, what do you recommend finding people to edit? Like, obviously, you can throw it up on Instagram and say, hey, I need editors, but I don't know many. So, like, what would you recommend for just, and I don't want to, send it off seas to, different times out, so. What do you recommend?
Yeah, 100%. So actually, most of our editors are overseas. So we have guys like Lane and Will that are American-based. They're really good at vlogs because with vlogs, I prefer somebody with a more American background just for the sake of storytelling and kind of understanding communication. Sometimes that can be a bit of a barrier. So I have guys like them to quality check and help the overseas editors with projects like that specifically, but overseas editors crush talking head videos. I have some really, really talented guys on my team that either live in Europe, some guys are based in, Asia, Middle East that are really talented. So that right there is a limiting belief, and also you can get them for relatively inexpensive because of the currency gap right there and the conversion. So what I would recommend is if you're gonna do it through social media, having a big personal brand helps, but it's not a requirement. If you do have some kind of following with creatives, what I would recommend is don't put up a post that says, DM me if you want to edit for me. If you're going to do that, you have to send everyone through a disqualifying form. So I have a really good friend, K Fitz. He runs a sports media agency, paid Cam and I for consulting a while back. He's like, I need help growing my agency. And one of the first recommendations I made for them, I'm like, you guys need an assistant editor. I know you love editing for these athletes. I know it's your passion. You got to let go of that. So what I did is we went in and we created a hiring form with a list of 20 questions about why do you want this job, what's your experience, drop your portfolio link, and all the people that wanted to apply had to fill out this pretty dense form. And what we did at the end, and this is really good, take notes on this, is we put a segment at the end, send us an optional, and we marked it as optional, send us an optional video, 60 seconds of yourself explaining why you'd be a good fit for this role. We marked it as optional, but anyone that did not fill that out was automatically disqualified. Because why would we take somebody that's not going to go above and beyond, that's going to do those optional things for the application? Like, why? We just want the highest intent people that really are passionate about the opportunity and want to work because they believe in the vision of the company. And by doing that, we were able to disqualify like 60 to 70% of the applicants on there. So what you're doing is you're creating this filtering process where instead of having to look through 100 applicants, you're immediately able to whittle it down to like 20 or 30. And another, if you aren't able to do it through social media, ytjobs.co is great. I love ytjobs.co. It does charge you for an application, but you get really high quality applicants. And I would say onlinejobs.ph is okay for very basic stuff. I would say if you're trying to get more advanced, dense projects, that's not great. But if you need like an assistant editor, somebody to help cut up footage or do cut-to-cuts, onlinejobs.ph can work. That's what we use to start. But ytjobs.co, in my opinion, has given me the highest quality applicants over time. It can be difficult. It really depends on the process. The platform itself is just sourcing the talent. I think ytjobs.co will have the best talent. But what's ultimately going to determine the quality of people that you get is your filtering and hiring process. Absolutely.
So if your agency or brand is at a stage yet where you're essentially making money from people, if you're just hiring trading services, is it necessary to hire somebody to create a team for you?
Could you elaborate a little bit more on the question?
Okay, so for instance, I was talking to you a little bit about it, but so my brand is we're niched in choreography and dance.
Okay.
I do videography, but now I'm starting to like take my marketing background and like help like a dance studio. So he is hired me as his marketing, videographer, creating content, and I get the studio whenever I want. Where it's like now I want to start being able to make money off of that, use him and put that under my portfolio besides the experience that I've done like 9 to 5 jobs. But I'm doing all of the bottleneck work. You're saying that to do like more of like the sales and focus more on like grabbing and getting leads, you should start outsourcing like basically your weight.
Correct. So with a client even, what you want to be focused on, the highest leverage thing you can do with a client is going to be the ideation and the strategy side of things, because that's ultimately what's going to move the needle the most, right? Because ideas, your taste, and your approach with the brand and how you position the content, that's really what's going to determine how the content performs. And editing and stuff, shooting, that's definitely important, but it is going to be the easiest or the first thing you outsource, because you want to be involved with the strategy side of things, and also you want to be selling more deals and getting more clients in the door by talking about your services and hopping on sales calls with people. And the only way you're able to get time to do that is by, getting an editor, getting somebody to do the shoots for you, so you're not boots on the ground 24/7.
If so, if I'm trying to hire somebody that is basically trusting the vision, like has to be with me, what's an incentive for them to be able to be like, I don't got money coming in right now, but I need your help. And then
Oh, as far as, so you're not getting paid from the client yet?
yeah, that's what I'm
Okay, so that's the first step for sure, is what I would do if you have a client that you've done good work for in that department, go and leverage that free work to go and get more clients. Say, hey, I've done work for XYZ, here's my portfolio, this is what I look like, this is what I charge for XYZ package. And then once you have money coming in, say the client is paying you, $3,000 a month retainer, for example, then you can afford and justify spending $800 a month on an editor to help with the actual production and clipping and editing and everything like that, because now you have money coming in and you can pay them, on a per project basis, either per video or a flat monthly rate to help you with the work.
So don't hire yet in that stage.
No.
Do you guys do content uploading for all your clients, or do you have that?
Yeah, so for the YouTube, we just handle the publishing. It just makes it easier. When we were doing short form, it became a little bit operationally harder because it was like 30 to 60 videos. But again, if you can hire someone like a team did, you can easily outsource that to somebody in college, a VA or somebody like that, and you're able to do it for relatively inexpensive.
I've stayed away from that as much as I can.
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend doing it for your clients if you can find someone good, because it's a big value add to the client when it's completely end to end, and it just helps with retention, because when they know you're doing everything for them, it makes it way harder to justify cutting you at any single point, because they don't want to go back to publishing content themselves once they've had somebody take care of it. So what you need to do is you need to find a way to take that operational burden and put it onto yourself, and then the client is going to perceive the service to be much higher value because you're literally handling every step of the process. That's why we do that with our clients. That's why we do ideation, scripting, editing, filming, everything like that with our clients. Number one, because it's the best way to guarantee results when we're controlling every variable. And number two, it makes us relatively irreplaceable, and it's really hard to substitute what they had with us with an in-house team we're trying to hire themselves. Right now, so we have our head of content, Will, and then we have editors. So we have 10, probably 8 to 10 available editors at any given time. A lot of them are on standby, either waiting for new clients or waiting for work. And then we have probably 5 or 6 that are actively working on projects. And they're able to take on, 1, 2, sometimes even 3 clients themselves.
They're all like full-time or something?
So it's like we pay them on a per project basis, but they have a pretty good expectation of like they're going to get 1 video a week, they're going to get 2 videos a week. So it is a consistent work, but we pay on a per project basis for a lot of people, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on like sending invoices?
Send it to clients or paying contractors?
Like, I've done a couple websites and I'll send them like a normal invoice in Canva that has all my setup. Then I also run like a clothing brand and they send me an invoice so I can go here if I can get it.
Yeah.
Like job form, is there anything?
Stripe is going to be your best bet. Yeah, super easy. They can pay with debit card. They can pay with bank transfer. There's a bunch of different options. That's your best bet.
So, do you think it's more prudent to ask a client, let's say you're doing free work, or let's say you're doing free work for them? Do you just make a sick reel for them, or would you ask them, hey, what do you want to be similar to the YouTube video show me? I understand when you're like for a paid client, it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
How do you show me a YouTube video, how you want it to look like?
Oh, as far as like communicating with clients and communicating back to that team?
Yeah. So if you're doing a free work, how would you, if you're doing a free work, let's say cut, for example, would you ask them, hey, can you send me a reel?
Like for the free work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would ask if they have any style inspiration. I think that goes a long way. We're at the point with our clients where we just tell our clients what to do because we have that frame with them, and it's like people know us as the guys that get results for YouTube. And at this point, like I don't even entertain that because our relationship is very much like, hey, we're telling you what to do, we're calling the shots, and we set that expectation and tone at the start. When you're just starting out, you don't necessarily have that because you don't have a ton of past client work or testimonials, and you can't really have that. So it's more of a collaborative effort with the client to see what they're looking for. But also, they are trusting your creative taste, so you should be calling the shots to some degree as well. But having some inspiration is great, for sure.
How important would you deem like a business partnership like you can have? I don't know, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
But something like that kind of puts a wrench in my stomach because that's a lot of trust. It's almost like a marriage story.
Yeah.
So how do you approach that?
I would say the biggest thing for me when I met Cam, it's a character thing for sure. I would say look at someone's character before their technical skills. Obviously, want someone that was competent. Cam had multiple years of experience doing social media content for a training startup and had a ton of experience with videography, so it made sense on that side too. But the number one thing I saw is we just got along as people, and I saw him as someone with a strong work ethic. The night we met, we both went back to the hotel and we were just banging out work. We had Red Bulls, and everyone else was going out, going to the club and everything like that. And we were pretty much the only two that stayed behind, and we're just banging away. And that spoke volumes because we both knew that it was a get it done at all costs type of attitude, and that has persisted throughout our agency. Like knowing that he will be there working with me at 2 or 3 in the morning to get something done, and the opposite is true. That built-in trust is what makes a relationship, in my opinion. So I would say look at character before technical skills, but the more technical skills definitely doesn't hurt. Yeah.
So I know you said it costs you a lot of money to build a content management system. How do you recommend us going about building something that works really great?
For sure. We actually have a surprise coming at the end about that, by the way. I'm going to keep that a secret for the time being. But regarding that, for building your own systems, if you did want to do your own system, some people like Notion a lot. You can get away with just using Slack and Frame. So Airtable is the thing that automates all those messages and, helps you store and keep track of all the projects. But simply having a relationship between Slack and Frame, like simply having client folders organized in Frame and having these client channels separated by client and only having the assigned people on that work, you can basically do all the stuff I just did manually and do it yourself. It is a little bit more tricky, but you can do that all manually. So having Slack and Frame alone is going to cover like 70-80% of that. So as far as building a system, it's really just having those things in place of separating client channels in Slack and Frame and having organization as far as raw footage ready for review, and having a system where your team just all communicates through one platform and they all upload footage to one platform. That is going to solve most of your issues. So a lot of people shouldn't overcomplicate it necessarily at the start. Having Airtable is amazing. It's a lifesaver. It takes a lot of the thinking and thought process out of it, but Slack and Frame alone will be good. Yeah.
This might be more of a Ken question, so feel free to tell me to shut up so we cover it later. But obviously you guys have kind of post-client acquisition ops all sorted out.
For sure.
Do you have a CRM that you stack on the front end to manage like sales funnel and lead tracking?
Oh, people that are coming through for our agency?
Yeah.
I keep track of that manually personally, and I'll just get people in group chat. So if I have a sales call with somebody, I'll collect phone numbers on my Calendly, so I'll just have their numbers. So I'll just text them after the fact, hey, let's schedule a meeting for this, or I'll just relentlessly blow people up over text. That works for me. A lot of people have something more organized for CRM for keeping track of leads, but we tend to get less people interested just because our total addressable market is really small. But out of those people, we kind of go with the sniper approach of outreach. That's kind of what's worked for us as far as building these really, really big relationships with these big hitters and then honing in on those people over the course of a few weeks or months. We kind of focus on quality over quantity. So we don't necessarily always have a ton of people coming in. We have like 3 or 4 that we're really focused on that we have group chats with that we're building a relationship with or we got introduced to through a referral. So that's kind of our system. And one last thing as well. Through Airtable, I forgot to mention, you can also automate client onboarding as well, because when you're importing new clients into the system, I'm going to shut up and take a couple more questions before we move on. But in this onboarding form right here, this is something that can automate the client onboarding process. It's going to take a second to load, because when you have a new client, you can send them this form. And what it'll do is it'll automatically import all the client's information into Airtable. And what that'll do is now the client is going to be set up, and you can assign projects to editors, and their name is now going to populate as one of the clients when you hit that plus button. And now the client feels like they were onboarded properly. In this onboarding form, you can also customize this. What it basically asks them is like, where are we posting to for you? And that's all going to be saved internally if you ever forget or a team member forgets as you scale. And then are there any more platforms you want us to post on? What are your logins? That's all going to be stored within internally. So that's a really good kill 2 birds, 1 stone. It looks good to the client because you have a proper onboarding form, and also you have a place to store logins now for the client. So you can kill everything with one go. What are your social media goals? So this is great because you can set expectations. The client can set goals that you can refer back to after 6 months. Say, hey, this is what your goal was, when we started. This is where we're at now, and you can compare the two and give the client a perspective on what the kind of results you've gotten for. So this is great. You can also customize this. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. Again, surprise coming at the end. But there's a lot you can do with this beyond just the actual content management as well. You can also use it to onboard clients. Any burning questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so what would you say helped you and Cam switch that initial mindset and be just like a regular videographer between jobs, like one by one, to like shifting that mindset. Oh, we gotta build a system. Like, we gotta get organized. We have to put people in place to do jobs that we can't do.
For sure.
Mindset wise.
Yeah, well, a big thing was also just seeing we were hitting the ceiling. We couldn't scale past $50,000, $60,000 a month, and we were constantly churning and burning clients and trying to get new ones because our systems were not good, and we weren't able to give the clients our full attention because we were trying to do everything. And in trying to do everything, we were doing not a lot very well. We were just doing a lot of things at a mediocre level. So seeing that and hitting that ceiling, that frustration of like, I have no life and my business is also stuck. That was like, okay, we need to take a few steps back to actually go forward. So it was really just that frustration boiled up to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, you know what? I'll try anything at this point. I'm tired of this.
How do you
Yeah.
get most of your clients? Like, after you like scale back down and scale back up, or did you know the clients? Did you cold call, or did they went to you?
For sure. Yeah, this is definitely going to be more of a Cam question, but I'll chime in for a second here. Cam and I had the advantage of we built a really good personal brand over that time. I have a following on Twitter, now X, which is pretty good. A lot of business owners over there. Cam had Instagram, wasn't as big at the time, but he had some really good quality people following him. So we could put up a story post like, hey, taking on a few more YouTube clients this month, whatever. We had people in our network that we would cold DM, but it wasn't really cold because maybe they followed me on Twitter and I followed them back and we had interacted before. Like, hey, actually, dude, noticed you're in Miami, thought you'd be a really good fit. Let's go grab lunch. I'd love to talk more about this with you. And because we had mutual friends, it was a very easy in. It didn't really feel like cold outreach. And so we had the advantage of having the personal brand. But when we first started, we really needed to do cold outreach, and we used a custom loom video, which I think Cam or somebody else is going to cover here as well, where we use this outreach strategy I've talked about on my YouTube channel before, where we would send people these custom video pitches where we'd set up a good camera and we would basically explain how we could help the client and then offer to shoot a free video with the client in person. And if they liked it, we could keep working together. If not, no harm, no foul.
What do you recommend for someone who's doing a full-time job and trying to build their own agency? And on top of that too, do you recommend getting an LLC from the beginning? Or
if you don't have a client, focus on getting money in first, then setting up the LLC right after you get that first client, and setting up a business bank account with the EIN is probably your best bet. But get the money in first, because a lot of people put the cart before the horse. Get your first client. Once you do that, now you can go set up the LLC. It's like a small fee or whatever. So you're going to need the money anyways. And again, if you're working a 9-to-5 job, even more reason to build these systems, because you're going to want to have people helping you out as you transition out of your job to full-time. We'll take one or two more, and then I want to move on. I've already overstayed my welcome over here.
When you scale back to 20K, how long did it take you to blow past your original belief?
Probably like 3 or 4 months. So I think December and January of 2024 or 2023 going into 2024 is really when things started to take off again. We started to get some big deals in the pipeline, and things started to pop off again.
For being more personable and like getting a cold or leads when you're going like on a cold outreach, do you prefer like a system where you go into the establishment and you're just like, hey,
So is your question like, should I do it in person or should I do it virtually?
yeah, because there's something about like cold calling where it's like I can't be personal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a preference thing. And Cam and Ben are going to talk about this a little bit, but you find your lane and you stick with it. Some people love colder parts. Some people actually love cold calling because they can just hit a big list very quickly and set appointments. You just got to test all of them, in my opinion, and then see which one works best. Whatever sticks the most for you is most aligned with your personality. You run with that.